You thought we were going to do a one and done, didn't you? You thought we didn't have the stamina. Well, I've got news for you. We all are stamina'd up and ready to rock your earballs. That's right, we're back again with more qualified nonsense, so have a seat, pour yourself a drink, and join us for some cozy banter. My name's Jake.
I'm Brandon.
And I'm Matt.
And this is Qualified Nonsense.
And before we get to your Reddit questions or threads, if you have anything you want us to talk about, a thread that might be juicy or some tea we can talk about, send us a line, qualifiednonsense@gmail.com. How we doing, boys?
Doing well. How are you? Well. It's been a couple of weeks since we recorded the first of season 2.
That, as of the date of recording, hasn't been released.
Yeah, that's a good point. Never mind.
We're easing back into it. We're easing into it.
Yeah, we're coming out of retirement slowly.
Not just jamming it in there.
Oh. What's been happening non-date confining with you guys?
I'm calling it right now. Donald Trump is gonna lose. Mark my words.
Mine is actually so less controversial and so lame at this point. You guys go first. I do have something I'm excited about, but like it's Brandon, you got that one that Jake likes on standby? Don't do it yet, but when I talk about it, get it on standby. Jake loves that one. The Kim Jong one. All right, go ahead. Okay. You guys first.
Well,
go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
No, please go ahead. We're so good at this.
My wife finally got COVID, so
personality. No, you go. What happened? Oh, my wife got COVID.
Finally. I am sorry to hear that, though. You guys have been COVID free. Wait, because you also? Oh no, you got it coming back from
Nolans.
Yeah, I got swamp COVID, and then she had it. She's better now and negative and all that. And then,
that's good.
We went to the beach over the weekend.
Which beach do you guys go to again?
I mean, we haven't stayed there before, but we went to Nye Beach in Newport.
Nice.
For a couple nights, and we saw Bonnie Rait last night. That was fun.
Oh.
That's Otis Etheridge.
Anyway. Oh, she's the one that does I Can't Make You Love Me, right? That's Bonnie Rait.
Yeah, she does that. She does Let's Give Them Something.
Oh, there it is. God damn it. Yeah.
Something to talk about.
All those women during that time, they all like turned their head like the Rebas of the world. Like, they all had like short
big redheaded women.
Yeah.
Like I was wondering if that was offensive because I definitely had that in my head also, being like, I don't know.
It's not offensive. I mean, if they all fit the same style and
but what I didn't know is that if they did all fit the same style, because I know I had an image in my head of that style, but I was like, I don't even know if these people actually fall into that category. But
how was Ms. Rait?
She was really good. She sounds really good. She's like an excellent guitar player, and she's we looked up, she's about to be 75. So
I was about ready to do that myself. I was like, how old is she?
She sounds really good. She looks good. She plays good. She
calm down over there.
No, I mean she talked about like,
let's give you something to talk about.
With John Prine, and played a couple John Prine songs. And,
R.I.P.
Yeah. But yeah, no, it was a good show. I mean,
John Prine.
Yeah. I did we felt like we were some of the younger people there, but
I feel like, do you find that a lot of the events you go to, Brandon, you're among the younger people there? I feel like there's a trend there. You're just an old soul.
There's something to be said for driving down that age. It helps the statistic of like, no, the 40-year-olds to 99-year-olds are still into you now.
Yeah, it does kind of like we'll go to plays and stuff, and it does feel like there's just there's less of a I don't know. It doesn't seem like there's as many younger people going to things like that as much as like you see a lot of just older people there. And I don't know if that's because older people just have more disposable income, more free time, all the above.
But you actually put out something that I have a random question for you guys, since we were all in the program together. And Brandon, you guys will go out to smaller event things as well as big event things. Like, is it weird as adults to be like, oh no, we're gonna go to the play at the high school just as adults? Like, is that a strange thing to do?
No, because I've done it here. We don't know any of the kids at school, but we've gone a couple times. Yeah, you're supporting your community.
Flowers and stuff. Like, oh,
I wouldn't do that. Right by the stage, like the door to backstage.
Are we all going to this, or where are we going?
Oh, I'm buying. I'll drive.
Like the kids want to go to
my place.
Like the kids are getting to the age and they're talking about like starting theater, and it's like, is it weird for us to like, even though we would go with kids, but it's like there's literally nothing here for us. Is it weird to go to like a little school community play versus
no, I don't think
to a playbill?
I think that you're supporting your community, and filling the seats I think is important. Like, we always felt better if there was a like actors and fellow patrons, and also like everybody behind the scenes, they're always going to feel good about having people within seats. And I think that's just like a form of supporting your community and like sort of like contributing to,
unless it is that weird guy that comes to like, I'm just here to see.
It's like, where's the cast party at?
Oh my gosh.
Single?
I'm asking for a friend.
Single rows for everybody. You guys want to go to Skate World?
Oh man, Skate World.
Jake, how about you? This is taking a bit of a turn. You had some excitement happen.
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You took a trip.
I took a trip. Yeah. So I went to visit my family in the Pacific Northwest. Unfortunately, I didn't get to see these two good-looking guys, but I did get to see my family. And we also went whale watching and saw some orcas. And
I was going to say, see some whale tails while you're out there?
I definitely saw some whale tails.
Hell yeah, brother.
Had a really nice time.
Where were you? Bellingham? Or
no, Bremerton.
Yeah.
It's across the bay from Seattle.
Yeah. Yep. And it was
Did they have any ships in the dock while you were there?
They did. They had some really cool ships. Some of the ones that look like super futuristic, they're very like hard angles.
The ones that are like all A-frame.
Yeah. I saw
cool.
a couple of those, and it was really fun to see them, because I'm like, what? It looks like floating like fortresses, like, which is what they are, I guess. But it was just, it was pretty cool to see. And it would have been all a really good time, except when the morning of our flight, we had an early morning flight, and we got up early and got the kids some food and loaded up the bags. Or I tried to load up the bags, and the back of the car wouldn't open, and it's a newer car. It's a not an electric car, but a rental car. And I was like, it didn't open, and the key didn't work. So I unlocked the door manually, and I tried to start it, and there was no lights on the dash, and I was like, oh shit, okay, the battery's out. And normally my family is well equipped with things like jumper cables, but for whatever reason nobody had jumper cables, so we had to call a tow truck to come and jump us, and we were an hour late. Anyway, long story short, we hustled, and we really ought to have gotten to our gate on time, but SeaTac was like, the Seattle Tacoma airport was in shambles. The security was a mess. They were doing like construction, and we had to, even though we got into the right like terminal, we had to take 2 trains to get to our gate, and I left the family behind just to catch them, to try and catch them not before they closed the gate. And as I rounded the corner to view it, the person
you're like
was
taking
just
off and like flipping them off. It's like,
yeah, yeah. Hey, I'll see you at
Here goes
home.
this.
No, I just wanted to.
Windows.
I wanted to catch the gates from closing, but they had clearly already given our seats away because the door had just closed, and the plane was right there. But
So is that one of those situations where they probably called your name, like when you're sitting and you're like,
that's what we were talking about.
Where's the Wilhelmies? God, they had like 7 calls.
Yeah, I'm sure they called us a bunch.
Was it one of those? You were checked in.
I think so, but the problem is we had to take 2 trains, so it was basically 2 buildings away from the actual terminal, or the actual set of terminals, because we were in like the N section or the N building, and so we had to get from security to an intermediary building and then board another train to get there. So I'm sure in that terminal our names were called, but we never heard our names because we weren't there.
Right.
Anyway, it was just really frustrating, and we're like, when did you close it? She's like 2 minutes ago. And I literally saw, like, as I walked up, I saw her like locking the door. So she had literally just closed it. I was just like, oh no.
You didn't yell at her? Like, don't shut that door.
Well, it was too late. Anyway,
so I'll kill you.
What I would not recommend to the listeners at home is to hang out in SeaTac for 14 hours, because that's not fun, especially with 2 kids. And
Matt does that voluntarily when he takes a flight.
We'll say that's unfortunate, because I've been through SeaTac my fair share of times, but I've never had to like physically go through. It's like it's usually going from Portland to SeaTac and then SeaTac to wherever.
Right. No, and I will say there are worse, in fact, much worse airports to be stuck 14 hours in. We just stayed in our terminal, and it's a nice, like, once you get beyond security, it's a really nice airport. And I think it's actually it's unfortunate because,
well, I'm just saying I've never had to jump terminal to terminal there. It's like, oh, my plane will land, and it's like, oh, we're 3 gates down.
Right. I think that we caught them at a bad time, or they caught us at a bad time, or whatever, because they were obviously doing construction, and security, like TSA, was an absolute shit show. Like, we got rerouted like 3 different times to different lines, and we were like, we're just trying to get through, and they're like, oh yeah, actually you're down there. We had to walk the length of the terminal to get just to get in line, just to get into like a 45-minute line. So by all rights we should have made it, but it was a pretty big bummer, especially because we missed it by 2 minutes. We kept, like, for the rest of the 14 hours while we were there, being like, if we had just. And
what was the silver lining, or the saving grace? What was the ultimate outcome?
So yeah, the ultimate outcome was that it was threatened that Anna and my youngest were going to go home in the overnight, and that my oldest and myself were going to have to spend the night in the terminal and then go the following morning. Turns out we were all able to make it we are all able to sit on the what's it called, like the red eye back, and so it was good. We all got to stay together, and the kids slept on me, and I didn't sleep a wink. Like, I didn't even close my eyes because I was just so amped up from.
Can I interrupt for 2 seconds?
Sure.
I appreciate that we're having this like story of the woes of kids and how everything's, and all I hear in the background is Brandon going glug 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 glug. I can only imagine, like, that sucks.
Gee, that's why I didn't have kids.
I must have a good mic then.
You do. I could hear the glug 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 glug. It's like Brandon's tuned out. Kids.
Boring.
Kids. Oh.
They got him and they caused me to drink. But yeah, you made it.
Is it a direct flight? Or was it
a direct flight? So that was nice. But the 3 hours difference and the red-eye-ness and not sleeping definitely fucked everybody up for a handful of days.
You didn't have to go to work the next day, did you?
Luckily not. No, we had a day of recovery, so that was good.
Good. That's always a smart move as a parent.
Yeah, that was our original plan to have like a full day and a half, but
Did you?
anyway, that's
So
my excitement.
with the rental car, did you just like leave the headlights on or something? Or
It's super unclear. I
That's called a
was
deflection for taking responsibility.
quick. Yeah, I was quick to check like overhead
Turn him
lights
off.
and stuff.
Didn't look like he left him on.
Well, kind of. I accidentally did that to the. I accidentally did that to the overhead light because I was like, was that on? But it's just a toggle button that I didn't know whether it was on or off when I hit it. And I was like, oh shit. And then later I was like, hey boys, like, did you guys mess with this? And as we were getting out of the car to drop the car off at the rental place, Oscar turned on the light to look in the back, and I was like, buddy, did you do that earlier? And he goes, yeah, but only for a second. And I was like, so I think Oscar might have accidentally left the overhead on, and they've done that in my car before.
You give him 5 across the eyes once, and then say, "It's gonna go back the other way if you don't tell the truth."
No, not like that.
Son of a bitch.
Yeah. No, but it was all good.
Exactly.
We made it back. And we're alive, all good. Do we want to get into some questions? Do we want to
Wait, no, Matt has a gun to talk about.
His.
Matt,
this
tell me
will be
about your. Oh, that's right. That's
Be
right.
short, guys. This is so lame. Oh God. Okay, so I have 2 girls, and the one thing that I think we probably agree or bond on are our love for like fragrances. I love scents.
Oh,
and the one thing I've struggled with in this house is to get like a Glade plug-in or something that like actually works for more than a day. It's like they all crap out and stuff. So I take the kids went out to my parents the other week, and I went out to go pick them up, and I was early to my parents' house, and sure as shit, all these years later, the Haida key is in the same spot. So I go into the house while I'm waiting for him. I'm actually early, and it's like, man, it smells really good in here. So I look at it. I was like, I couldn't identify what it was. I was like, what is this? So I asked my mom. She's like, oh, that's those are the Wallflowers. It's like the band. She's like, no, it's called Wallflowers. And it's from Bath and Body Works. It's like, okay. So I use this excuse to take my 2 daughters into Bath and Body Works because I secretly want to find all these fragrances that actually work, and I plugged them into the house. I bought $100 worth. There it is. I buy $100 worth of fragrances, and I get home, and I just I'm plugging in all these scents to all these outlets. And I think it's to the point where Kara's getting kind of pissed off now. She's like, I walk into a room and it smells like sweet candy, strawberry, and the other one's like woody undertones.
Oh wait, you don't have you don't have the same one everywhere. It's like different. It's like, oh my God,
bank of
that
different
stresses me out.
But it makes me so happy because the house finally smells good. I'm sensitive to smell in a good way. Like I enjoy smelling it, but I hate the stagnant. And it's we're in a relatively larger house to get, so you can't just do one in the corner because it doesn't go everywhere. So they're all staggered.
Do you have ceiling fans?
No, we have an
I
unit.
I have to side with Kara on this one. That would.
I will give her
all
the
way
thread.
off.
I should have choreographed him a little bit better, but
Corey, that's pretty good.
Yeah, my
anyway.
well, does it having that many things plugged in? Does it burn your throat or your eyes or anything?
That's what it would do to me. It would.
Actually,
they're also all synthetic, right? They're just they're
essential. They're essential oils.
Oh,
that's what I've become. That's what I've become.
Well, actually,
now that you mention it, we've been wondering.
Are you
going
to start a company that you sell on Facebook?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, did you? Oh, yeah. Did you? Oh,
D's hazelnuts. No, I'm not going to start an online company. I have joined Sensi, though. I got stickers on the back of my car. So if you want to buy it from me, you can just call me.
Well, I do remember even when we were younger, like you were like into incense and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I guess that. Patchouli.
Yeah. And as much as my parents were hippies, they and to their defense, looking back on it, it was pretty strong. But burning one whole incense stick in your little room that you have when you're 15.
That's a lot.
Setting up a smoke alarm.
I was even I wasn't smoking or doing anything. It was
Smoke on the water.
Well, isn't that mostly why people buy incense, is to cover up the smell of pot or cigarettes or whatever? And
yeah, that's why head shops always smelled like incense and patchouli.
I always just made it unbearable to walk in case my mom wanted to come in at the wrong time. No, that was my defense
mechanism. That was smoky weed, Mom.
Yeah. We should get to some questions, though.
All right.
Definitely.
We'll be back.
Feel free to drop us a line, qualifiednonsense@gmail.com, or connect with us on our socials. Who wants to go first with their question? Oh, actually, quick timeout. Do we have do we want to sandwich? And if there's a serious one, put that in the middle of.
I've got it's not serious, but it's about job interview stuff. So
mine's more stoner thought provoking.
Ooh,
mine's kind of fun, I guess ish.
Let's go with yours first.
More of I guess a good Halloween-y kind of thing. Okay. All right, so I suppose I'll go first. Let me. Shit. Let me.
Did you say let me ask shit?
Let me open the page. And I just have it on the
Google Sheet. Lost his opportunity.
Actually.
Okay. All right. So this is from this is posted on Ask Reddit by user Sophie Dan. What seems normal at 2 p.m. but scary at 2 a.m.? And that sounds like a riddle, but
oh, wait. Can you say it again? Say it one more time.
Yeah. What seems normal at 2 p.m. but scary at 2 a.m.?
Pooping.
Normal at 2.
Well, the midnight poops always kind of freak me out because I was oh God, is there something wrong? Your body should be quiet. Your body should be quiet at that point.
Your body should be quiet. I don't know that I have midnight poops.
When's the last time you ate Taco Bell?
It's been a minute, to be fair.
You got your fair share of bad. When's the last time you had a cheddar bow at 10 p.m.?
Well, no. So I've definitely had food poisoning where I'm up at night shitting my brains out, but that's
intestinal distress.
Yeah. It's not a semi-common occurrence. I'll say I didn't mean to immediately dismiss yours, Matt. I'm sorry. Let's hear about scary midnight poops.
I think that's all we need to hear.
Okay. I rest my case.
I thought we were quick hitting. I didn't know that we were going into stories.
No. Well, so my kids my oldest has started doing this, but going upstairs and not looking behind you versus when it's night and the lights are off and going upstairs. For some reason, it's so spooky. And have you seen those videos of people in wearing black clothes, pretending to chase after
they
people?
They got hockey masks and stuff on, and they're just chasing you as you turn off the lights.
Right.
God, that was. I still do that from time to time, especially during this season. I hate scary movies. They work because they do, and I hate going being the last one going upstairs. I was
is all your rooms upstairs?
No, we have especially going from the basement, coming from the basement up.
Whoa.
Hell
I guess,
no.
I could see that.
To the no.
Yeah, it seems normal to walk around your house at 2 p.m., but then 2 a.m. it's a little spookier.
Yeah. I mean,
I was
listen,
thinking,
walking in the woods.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, pretty much
2
anything
p.m.
outside.
2 p.m. It's a beautiful, beautiful time. 2 a.m. No way.
I was thinking an adult man riding a BMX bike, like seeing him, like if you were like ride by your house at 2 p.m., like whatever, but I don't know.
Oh,
A guy, like an adult man on a BMX bike riding by at 2 a.m., like he's up to no good.
yeah. Or like,
I don't know, like even kids screaming in your house at 2 p.m. They're like, my
Well, that
kids will
was
scream.
actually that's the top answer that somebody said: children screaming outside. They said during the day you think they're playing, but at night you think they're getting murdered.
yeah. That's a really solid point. In
I
fact,
guess
I
I'd
think
also
you
say
get a
like birds. Like, I don't know, hearing birds at 2 p.m. in the day is kind of fine, but if it's like 2 a.m., also depending on the kind of bird, don't go down a nerdy path with this, Jake. I'm just saying.
Don't tell me what to do, man.
Depending on the kind of bird, I don't know, like some screech, like more screechy,
Yeah.
and you hear them like, "Ugh."
Yeah. Well, birds start chirping. So like now that we're approaching the winter months, they can start chirping before, like their internal clocks are set, but the sun isn't coming up. So like it's still dark outside and they start chirping. That I always think is weird. Like I get what they're doing, but when I hear them outside, I'm like, why are you chirping? It's still pitch black outside. But so I definitely agree with that.
We have a neighbor that bought some acreage near us, and they have a rooster that's on like the opposite schedule. It'll start going at like 11 a.m. versus anything. It's like, the fuck is really late?
Wait, you can have roosters in your area?
They're not part of any neighborhood. They bought the land, so they
Oh,
can.
Like,
Yeah.
to the back.
grandfathered in
Okay.
or whatever.
Yeah, no, they don't belong to any community. They just they
Oh.
purchased the land. Yeah, and that's their own entity.
This answer on here that somebody said is it's kind of serious, but it is real. It's a call from your parents.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Seems normal at 2 p.m.
100%.
but scary at 2 a.m.
You know, even at like, I don't know about you guys. I don't know how often or when you talk with your folks, but I've had like even during like in the middle of the workday, I've had a call from my mom before where I'm like, what's going on? Is everything okay? Because it's like, I don't know, they know you're working, and for the most part, it's like weekends or before work or after work sort of thing. And so, and it was just like, when they have called, it's been like, oh, just saying hey. It's like, oh, okay. You're freaking me out.
I feel like I kind of set that like the wrong precedence with my mom, like because she knows I'm self-employed and she
okay.
she feels like she's like, you could just call you. I can call you whenever I want and you'll answer. And I was like, I text me.
Well, or you get the scary text that says "call me," and you like
come
call
on.
in a panic, like what's going on? It's like, oh, I just wanted to know if you were gonna be coming over or whatever. Like it was,
Yeah, super benign. Yeah.
Or like my dad does speech to text exclusively.
Oh
And
my
so
God.
if it catches it wrong and he's trying to say call me and it's like misspelled, I was like, oh God, are you okay? Can you talk? Do you have a stroke? Or it was like,
my mother-in-law does, like, she has her watch and she texts via her watch all the time, so she talks into it and it never understands like everything that she's saying. And one of my favorite ones is I got a text from, it was like a group text where Anna and I and some other family members were on, and she's like, oh Jake, I love you, at the end of like whatever she was talking about, and then immediately after that she's like, I didn't mean that. And that was it, like full stop, like period. And I was like, God damn, Bess, like you didn't have to take that back so fast. Hurtful.
there's another answer here, which is a knock at the door.
Mm-hmm.
knock at the door. Yeah.
Yeah, doorbell.
UPS deliveries.
To go back
I
to the
remember-
kid. Oh, go ahead.
Well, when I lived alone, I remember it was late, like probably around 2 a.m. and then like this guy was like knocking on the door and like ringing the doorbell. I was like, "What the hell is like?" It woke me up, and
Did you
I went
answer?
to the door, and it was like this guy who was like selling magazines. I was like, and I just shut the door. It's like, what? Like I didn't even say anything to him. I just shut the door, and like he walked away. Like I don't know what the hell was going on, but it was
Yeah, that's
weird.
weird.
Nuts and walk away. Oh, this job is thankless.
But
Why
yeah,
did
it
I,
was like
why
in the
did I
middle of the
sign up
night.
for the graveyard shift?
I would say like smoke alarms, but I firmly believe that's the only time they exclusively go off. And not just smoke alarms. I'm going to say the battery chirping.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, the battery always dies like in the middle of the night.
Exactly. It's never at 2 p.m. Why can't it be at 2 p.m. instead of 2 a.m.?
Yeah, but Jake, you were gonna say something about going back to kids.
Oh, I was actually thinking about like basically any sort of interaction with like anything child related at 2 p.m. is totally normal. At 2 a.m. is always something of alarm. Like you got sick kids. I mean, Matt and I.
No, I was gonna say something, but we're traveling this weekend, and I know
Never
if I
mind.
say it,
Never
I'm
mind.
gonna jinx myself.
Nope. The kids don't get sick. So that's cool.
No,
That's cool as they don't do that.
It's the 2 a.m. like the door opens and then it's on the carpet.
Oh, yeah.
Which has happened a couple of times.
Oh yeah, I've been
like,
there.
That could like just do that at 2 p.m. when you're at school and I don't have to deal with it.
Yeah. But like, yeah, I mean, you think about like just like even kids like walking down the street, and I'm sure we like not even kids, like teenagers walking down the sidewalk. 2 p.m., no big deal. 2 a.m., you're like, what the fuck are you doing? And I'm sure plenty of people looked at us in our heyday and they were like, nope, those kids are up to no good.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. Have you seen those like reels going around on Instagram that are like only 90s kids would remember? And it was like things that like just hit with that time period. And I showed one of them to the girls, and it was like kids riding their bikes around in the middle of the night and like chasing fireflies, and the girls are like, why can't we do that? I was like, because the world's different.
Yeah.
It's like,
go in your room.
Well, there's
there's more bad guys than there used to be.
I live next to a church, and lately, like the last few like Fridays or whatever, there's been like these teen kids with their cars, and they all like hang out in the parking lot of the church, and like they don't really do it. They just listen to music and stuff, and like I can hear their music, and like I can hear them like laughing and like like that kind of stuff, and
Yeah.
So
really I think it's like stuff that we probably would have.
Is an awesome God he raised. that bass really slaps.
Yeah, you're camping out for church on Sunday.
Do you go out there with a backwards baseball cap and be like, hey, what's up, fellow kids?
Let me tell you about another radical dude who
his name is Joe Camel. Want a cigarette?
Let me tell you about another JC who's just as cool.
You should just go offer the kids cigarettes. Just go do it. That'll get them to go away pretty quick.
Or make some money.
Yeah.
It's a win-win, really.
Hey, kids, y'all into fentanyl?
All right. Next.
All right. I guess I got one. This is more of a discussion topic, and I could read it twice for you because it took me a couple of times. But it's from a subreddit called Shower Thoughts. From
subreddit
from Pokemoni. Anyway, I don't know how to. It looks like it was trying to be like Pokemon with money, but spelt with a W. Pokewani. Anyway, here's the thought. Dinosaurs existed for almost 200 million years without developing human-level intelligence, whereas humans have existed for only 200,000 years with intelligence. But our long-term survival beyond 200 million years is uncertain. Discuss. Somebody, this tells me that somebody was still stoned when they woke up and had to go to work. Like, why did dinosaurs exist for so long? But I have to go to fucking work.
Listen, I remember having morning shower beers and being like, "Oh God, this is my life." And I've had those thoughts in the shower, so I'm right there with them.
There was a couple of like leading comments. Let me read a couple of comments. Dinosaurs were nature's experiment with physical bulk. Human are nature's experiment with intellectual bulk. And I get it. Is that to say like big dumb things that have, I guess I would say more of an ego? Like, why did they exist longer, but we can't seem to figure it out?
Well, so we're talking about, I mean, this is gonna get real real nerdy, but you're talking about dinosaurs as like a class of lizard, but they sustained tremendous changes. So what we call dinosaur, yes, lasted like more than 200 million years, but the iterations of dinosaurs, like I forget what the statistic is, but it's something like we are closer to the Tyrannosaurus Rex than the Tyrannosaurus Rex was close to the Stegosaurus as far as timelines go of existence. So like dinosaurs were just like a vast array of different species and different like almost like completely unrelated species. So I think that's
where is the Tyrannosaurus to Kevin Bacon, as is to
yeah. No, that's
actually that was a thought that I had that we went
Kevin
to
Bacon thoughts.
Kind of along what Jake was talking about, like the last Natural History Museum we went to, like I was just looking at a timeline of everything, like it had like the different eras, like the Cretaceous, the blah 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 era, the whatever, and then we were looking at all these dinosaur bones, and it was like discovered like 1912, discovered 1920 or whatever, and like it wasn't until the 1800s that we discovered dinosaur bones, which is kind of crazy that as far as human existence goes, like people prior to 18 whatever had no idea that dinosaurs existed or even thought that was a thing. And
do you think that person was kind of like approached like a Bigfoot like enthusiast? Like,
oh, absolutely.
Okay,
Sure.
Here comes Friar Tuck coming down the road, bleating about his dinosaurs again. There's another comment here that says, I don't know how to feel about it, but it says, intelligence has never correlated with long-term survival. It's actually made us very fragile as a species and a civilization. Again, I think that's like another like very profound thought that, we could argue that dinosaurs were simple creatures, and they kind of, right? They were all introduced kind of at the same time, and now we have to introduce species back into the wild to like do, wildlife mitigation. But they all just kind of existed from the get-go, and they all just kept themselves, in harmony.
Well, isn't it something like it's like 99% of all species that have ever lived on Earth have gone extinct? So it's like some huge number like that.
God damn.
And
that's depressing.
And I mean, humans are no different. Like I'm sure humans probably will go extinct at some point, but I think the thing that there are species that have survived for millions of years, like sharks, like alligators, things like that, and it's I think we kind of think as humans, like if we're strong, then we can survive anything, but it is really, I think nature teaches us that whoever is the most adaptable survives, and that strength isn't worth anything. It's being able to roll with the punches and being able to adapt to change that helps you survive a lot longer. Just in life and as a species.
I don't know about you, Jake, but that felt a little bit like a motivational speech. I'm pumped right now.
Yeah, no, I'm all set. I'm ready to rock and roll.
I'm not gonna adapt. I'm not gonna be strong. I'm gonna roll with the punches and adapt and overcome.
Yeah, admittedly, I was a little bit distracted because I was trying to remember the name of the I don't even know what the person is, like a philosopher, I guess. But the Fermi paradox is a guy named what is it? Enrico Fermi, who was a Italian American physicist, came up with the idea that basically, like, if there had been extraterrestrial life, they would have shown up by now in some way. Like if something, like we've been, like, Earth has been around for many years, and science for humans has only been around since like Newton-ish era, like modern science, what's considered modern science. And so the Fermi paradox is that, like, if there are other civilizations out there, they would have painted the stars by now. They would have they would have sent their message out far and wide. And the Fermi paradox indicates that basically, because of intelligent life will sort of destroy itself before being able to become interstellar. And that's like a super dumbed down version of the paradox, but like basically the idea is that yes, intelligent life can flourish, but the likelihood of it, unfortunately coming to an end early because of its own devices is probable, and that prevents it from lasting a long time.
Well, I guess that's kind of the big question within there is like, should the dinosaurs have not had any external interference, would we have ever come around, or would they have kept going? Because like they seemed like they were perfectly mitigated outside of things from outer space crashing on them.
Yeah. Well, Brandon, when you and I went to the Museum of Natural History in
New York.
New York,
we've all been there. I've been there, but yeah.
Well, right. Brandon and I went together, and I remember because I think we were talking about how the global temperature was something like 80 something degrees, like the average temperature was 80 something degrees or 90 something degrees. And you're right, like I think they probably would have lasted a really long time. And I think the rise of mammals came from that huge meteor that wiped, like 70% of
something I learned
life
is it wasn't just a meteor that killed them. They think it was like a 1-2 punch of the meteor, but also
the freeze,
the
right?
Indian subcontinent smashing into the Asian continent and forming the Himalayan mountains. That set off a bunch of volcanic activity and ruined the atmosphere.
Yeah.
And so like those two things in conjunction, because the meteor hit, like, wasn't it like the Yucatan Peninsula, somewhere around there. And then on the other side of the world, you have the continent of Asia forming and, setting off all this volcanic activity. And so I think those two things happening killed everything off. And
well, have you seen, there's a guy on YouTube that has, I'm not familiar with the application, but he's basically like a solar system simulator. And he basically does, like, what if a grain of rice was traveling at the speed of light, or 999 the speed of, like 99.99% the speed of light, and it hits the Earth, what would happen? And it shows, like, decimation and stuff, but which is pretty interesting. But I think they sort of recreated an example, and I'm sure there's plenty of stuff, like resources out there, but recreating an example of what the meteor did to the Earth, X number of million years ago, that wiped out the dinosaurs. And it is, like, catastrophic. Like, I know I'm not saying anything like heartbreaking, but like seeing the aftermath of that sort of thing, I think it wouldn't take much, like the Himalayas also exploding. It wouldn't take much to properly F over the sort of biodiversity of the Earth. Oh, you're muted, Matt.
The good news is, before we get to any of that point, with anything, human race will kill itself before we have to like really endure any kind of pain like that.
Yeah, it's probably
So we'll be gone.
It's not looking great. There's a lot of like mutual destruction.
Well, yeah, between the wars, and then you have all the natural disasters going on, the flooding,
just keep
and the
happening
hurricanes,
with
and the
more frequency
wildfires,
and intensity.
Yeah, like freezing temperatures in the winter, and
I do like the argument that I hear some environmentalists make about the Earth, like, we have to protect the Earth, and only because I'm confident that the Earth doesn't give a fuck, but we ought to, and so that's why I'm obviously I'm in support of that. But the argument about the Earth, I'm like, the Earth has been just fine. It went through.
That's like
it's been through all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, the Earth
George
is
Carlin
that, like,
had a joke like
lover.
that.
Oh, really?
Like,
okay.
Yeah, like George Carlin, like talking about how like humans are basically like fleas on Earth, and like the Earth is trying to shake us off.
Did I already talk about? Did I already talk about? I'm sure I did, but did I already talk about the Earth being, because of its scale, being smoother than pool balls? Did we already talk about that? So basically, there's a to sell a pool ball that's regulation, it has to be X% smooth. Like basically, like the deviation in the smoothness of the surface needs to be, I forget what it is, but certain percentage. And if you were to shrink the Earth down to that size, the smoothness of the Earth, basically the difference between the highest point and the lowest point on the Earth, is less than a pool ball. So it's smoother than a pool ball. And so you think about these mountains, these mountain ranges and stuff, and especially on like when we were students in like grade school, you had globes with like you could feel the mountains in different parts.
Yeah, the textured ones.
It's obviously we all knew it was inaccurate, but it's so inaccurate that that when you pick up a pool ball, that is more rough than what the Earth would be shrinked down because of the sheer scale and the deviation of hills and valleys. Kind of fun.
So the Earth is yeah.
Bing.
It's ready for date night.
Oh no.
Anyway, dinosaurs and the human race. We're all fucked.
I do.
Right.
I am interested in the subject of dinosaurs being around for so long. Like, why were they around for so long? I like that.
I saw a comedian that did a really funny bit about the difference between, like, but we have the Earth, but like, there's actually two Earths within Earth, and there's the land dwellers, and then there's the sea dwellers. And he's like, dude, the ocean world is so much different, so much more fucked up. He's like, I literally saw octopus slap a fish and it did nothing with it, and then it went and it lived in a shell. I was like, dude, they do weird shit down there. I was like, that's actually a good point. Like, I feel like there's like the ocean world. He's like, those fish are swimming around every day. We have no idea really what they're doing. He's like, their whole existence is kind of doing its own thing. They don't know what we're doing either. They fucked off and they're like, oh, go let those guys do their thing.
I hazard to enlighten you to another conspiracy, but have you seen any of the conspiracies around NASA and deep sea exploration?
No.
You should check it out. It's kind of interesting. Basically, there's a claim that NASA went whole hog into exploring the ocean, and they put a hard stop to it once they found something, supposedly. and they went back to space.
Oh, the documentary that he's talking about is called The Abyss, directed by James Cameron.
Also, fair point.
Yeah, the documentary. Wait a second, I don't think this is even a documentary. Okay, so I've got a question.
Sure.
And I'm realizing now this is pretty boring.
Aliens or existential crises.
I haven't referenced aliens once since we brought this back. That's all guys.
I did. I'm sorry. No, you're right. I'm sorry. Matt, you were trying to stay in your lane, and I goofed up. Okay, what? This is I didn't write down who was the asker, but thanks, anonymous asker on Ask Reddit. But what is the best interview question you've ever heard or asked? And I ask this because I think it's important that the listeners at home and also us, myself included, we keep frosty on the old interviewing front and keep options open. And think of yourself as a lucrative... Oh, and actually, we had Brandon too, in case, Brandon, you're interested in this. But also, Matt, you interview people a lot. So I thought we'd have some good perspectives. And that's my justification for asking this question. Gentlemen?
I think, how much does it pay? When can I start? The two... No,
man.
I don't like good interview questions. I loathe interviews. I'm not a good interviewee.
I would say that most people do, but yeah, I agree. They're tough, or they can be.
Particularly name a time when you've experienced working on a team and completing a project, or whatever, stuff like that. I hate those questions. I mean, I know they're like a necessary evil, but
I will say that specific to those classic questions, like memorizing a bit, like having something prepped and ready to go, still making it an authentic delivery, and adding your, not that it's so scripted that it comes out like a robot, but those are the sorts of things that you can absolutely and should absolutely study for, and expect that you're going to be asked some of those sort of boilerplate questions, and so that you have an answer on standby. Whether you go with that exactly or not, you might be inspired to do something else, in which case great, but you have to have that in your back pocket. Otherwise it's going to trip you up and you're going to be like, God damn it, why did I do that? In my opinion. Match it.
Actually, can we pause for 2 minutes? Sorry to interrupt the flow.
Sorry, can we start this? You guys have to pee. Can we pick up this interview in about 2 minutes?
Can I go to the bathroom? That's a really good question to ask.
I'm just a big sleeper.
Can I go to the potty?
Give me 45 seconds.
Oh, goodness.
Give me 45 seconds. I thought he was going to say 45 minutes.
That's a quick evacuation. He should be doing this from his exercise chair that's obviously being used. I like the books and stuff that are stacked on it. It still has the Schwinn quality sticker on it.
What are those books? Those look like classic books with the red sort of painted outside.
I'm going to say it's definitely a Western series or something.
Yeah, Western, or maybe a spy series. But you're right, Western, that clay color, definitely Western.
My grandpa used to have a lot of those books. He would finish one at on a single sitting at the toilet.
Which, you forgot to turn the light off. Sir. Mm-hmm. Sir. It's like with my kids. I'm like, fucking, when you leave a room, turn the goddamn light off.
Yeah, I just actually, yeah. What books, Brandon, what books are on that exercise bike behind you that still has the Schwinn sticker on it? What type of books is that a Western?
Actually, all of the are westerns, but I've got.
Oh, I thought didn't I say Spy?
No, these
You
are
say Spy.
they're all
Good work.
They're all Ian Fleming.
they're all
James Bond.
books.
Nice. You're right, Jake.
We recognized the like the red page like printing or painting, and I was like, oh, yeah, those are like classic books, and we were talking because they don't really do that anymore, do they? With books?
No, I don't think
Make
so.
books.
I remember seeing a book once back in. Oh, I work with a couple of younger guys.
And so I have
And I
a
said something
embroidery thing sitting on there. Can you read that?
That's beautiful.
Nice.
I love that.
Speaking of natural disasters. All right.
And 3, 2, 1. Wait, we're still recording.
Yeah.
I guess so. My input to the interview thing,
Yeah,
would be we've all been sitting on one side of the table, but I've had the opportunity to sit on the other side of the table for a bit, and I can honestly say, of all the people we've interviewed, they're such standard questions. I feel like at this point we're just looking for somebody. It doesn't matter what they say. I feel like so many people tune out and they're like, oh God, just have like something educated or feelings to say, like, what's your biggest strength? What's your biggest weakness? Blah, 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 blah. I think it speaks volumes when they ask me questions about my company and like what's your expectations of me in this role? What are some skills that your team is missing that I could help, contribute to? What are some of the biggest challenges that I'm going to be facing? Like I appreciate people that want to be inquisitive as much as we are about them.
That are like engaged to a point to where they're like it's like an actual conversation as opposed to a question answer.
Absolutely, and they'll write down your answers and they'll whatever. But I guarantee you, what sticks out in their mind is when you come and you have just as many questions for them as they have for you, but questions about the company, and they can also be so very broad and specific. Like I was saying, like, what's your expectations for this role in the first 90 days? Simple question. Boom. What is this team missing that you need added to it? Boom. And then that gives you another opportunity to talk. So that's just something I think speaks volumes to a employer.
Yeah, I was gonna say, so from uneasy and cheesy, an answer to the question on this particular Reddit post. What were some qualities that the previous employee in this role brought to the job that you would like to see carried forward? Was a recommendation, which I think is like, I don't know that I fully agree with it, but like it's in the right direction of like having a conversation about your existence in the company.
Along those lines, I've heard that like it is a question you could ask in an interview, and to me it seems almost negative to be like to ask the question like, why is this position open?
Yeah, and that's kind of how I would view that question.
Hostile, kind of.
Yeah, because I mean, you could say, what did the last person do here? But I mean, you're asking them to focus on the things that they did well. They could have been terminated for all we know, for a very, something else. So it'd be like, hey, what do you wish that this position would have, or what do you think is the best quality for, the right candidate to have to be successful in this role, kind of a thing.
Yeah, I also see that there was a post by Be Back in a Schmeck. When you were so asking the interviewer, when you were interviewing here, what would you have liked to know before joining? How do you feel about that, Matt and Brandon?
Again, I think it's kind of a point. Like it could be very easily seen as a pointed negative question.
Yeah.
Like, what's the shitty thing about working here?
Like the company culture, and you could say stuff like, what do you guys do for fun, or something like that. Like,
I mean, you could even keep it. Yeah, like, what's the corporate culture here? Do you guys? Does this team do any extracurricular activities? Do they all get along? Rather than like, what do they suck at? So there are keywords though that you can do to actually ask those questions almost directly. So if you wanted to ask like, where's a spot where we all suck? Like, what about this thing sucks? You could ask, where is this team's area of opportunity? Right. Yep. So that's kind of a way of asking like, oh, we know that there's some challenges here. It's just using the more professional side of the language.
You could also say like, I noticed this company's been in the news lately. Do you have any comments on
how'd that class action go for you back in '96?
By the way, what's your litigation schedule looking like these days?
Do I have access to an attorney if I need one?
Yeah. Asking for a friend. Also, some other bit of advice that I thought was really good that I had heard a while ago. Are you guys familiar with the YouTuber Pirate Software? Is a guy named Thor? He's a video game developer. He does a lot of shorts. He's popular for his YouTube shorts.
You're telling me a guy with those credentials makes video games?
Kidding. Well, so he's actually a lot of fun to listen to. He makes a game called Heartbound, which I haven't played, but I heard is pretty good. He's a game dev that used to work at Blizzard, but he has a lot of like sound advice for people.
What's a game? Is that a developer?
Yeah, developer for video games. And he said, what he said was in an interview, quote, "If you were to hire me today, where do you think I would be most effective in the business?" End quote. And the idea being that it immediately starts them thinking, you know what, where would I use this person as an asset? And then it gets them thinking in the mindset of not as your perspective, like it sort of forces them into the perspective, not, for lack of a better term, it forces them into a perspective of like, this is a potential candidate, and it puts them in a place mentally of like, they're already hired, where can I use them? And that slight adjustment is actually used in social engineering, which is, if you've taken any phishing classes lately, social engineering is how people get credentials. It's like how people get hacked without doing any sort of technological hacking. It's like getting on the phone with someone and being like, "Hi, I'm IT support. I need your password." And they say, "Oh, thanks for calling me, IT support. Here's my password." That's social engineering. And so it is a social engineering.
I actually want you to work for my company because you're a killer salesman. So you can go legit. If any of those people out there listen, I want them to work for my, because if you can sell that, you can sell anything. Let's go legit.
Nice.
Stop scamming people. I'll give you a job.
Nice. I like that perspective. Anyway,
is that the best advertising though on a podcast, saying that your company hires scammers?
We just won't talk about what company Matt has.
No, I'm not saying that. Yeah, but it's all legit.
Matt's phone starts ringing, and it's his business partner being like, "Hey, Matt, fuck off, will you?"
Well, no, on the recruiting platform that we use, there's a little checkbox. It's like, "Do you hire felons?" And it's like, yeah. There's people out there need jobs.
Anyway, I thought that was Pirate Software, like using that little. It's sort of a trick, but it's like an interesting, at least a perspective of helping the interviewer think of you less as a someone on the other side of the table, and mentally putting you in a place where you could be used sort of immediately. Like, what does that look like for them?
Also, the way you described that whole thing kind of made you feel like you're one of those like TV psychics. It's like, oh, and that's like, yeah, because it was, and now it's your password. What is his name? Jonathan Edwards or something like that?
Are there any questions you've been asked or you would like to be asked as someone being interviewed that would be a good, like beyond the like kind of behavioral things.
To me,
yeah, either one of you. Or Matt, is there something that you guys ask that you think is a good question for someone who is an interviewer to ask in an interview?
No, not necessarily. They are all pretty standard. There's nothing that we don't try to trip anybody up or give them unexpected. I'll just say it's one of those it shows a huge amount of effort on your part to come with questions.
Yeah.
So all of our interviews are going to be pretty standard, and we look for, obviously very solid and thoughtful answers. But we're also expecting
to just get a gauge of their personality or whatever, ask for their favorite joke or something like that or whatever.
I feel like a lot of people kind of make their overall appearance or demeanor known just by the time you sit down, you walk through the door and get that, the formalities out of the way. It's even the way somebody will introduce themselves is speaks volumes. If you have 15 people all do it in a row, some are going to be more casual about it and some are going to be more formal. Even that sets the tone.
Yeah. I will say in a big corporate world, they have interview scripts that you cannot deviate from because of potential unconscious bias stuff, and there's a lot of rules and potential legal pitfalls that you can fall into by asking things like your favorite joke or what do you do on the weekends. Basically, it all has to be at least for in the big corporate world, you have to stay above the board as far as everything has to be job related or work related. It can't really be personal related or even interpersonal information, or you can't they can an interviewer, an interviewee can volunteer the information, but a question can't be posed around that to solicit that information.
Right. So Brandon, if you ask what's your favorite joke, and just going off the cusp, if somebody if some interviewee is already maybe they didn't really want to be there, or they think they had it in the bag, or maybe they just have no clue what they're doing. They tell a 9/11 joke, right? And then you're you set yourself up for that one. And so it's you can't write them off because you're
Brandon's
that person went hard on the
board.
Yeah. You can't, you got to be very, you got to be delicate with some of the questions that you ask, because it's making it more objective.
Yeah. And also it can be something not quite so, obtuse, like a 9/11 joke, but it can be
more subjective, not objective.
No, I got what you're saying. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of, I mean, we all know, we've all taken the what is it, unconscious bias, training courses and stuff, I'm sure, at our corporate gigs. But yeah, no, it's interesting. So interesting. In fact, we put it in a podcast.
Tell you what,
God damn.
Next interview you go into, you sit down, you say, "Look, I'm asking the questions."
Yeah, look at me. I'm the captain now.
That's how you get an offer letter right on the spot.
Yeah.
Okay, look, right. Read your Google reviews.
Well, luckily now people are hyper aware of what's normal at 2 p.m. and abnormal at 2 a.m. and they've been thinking about dinosaurs, and here we are now going.
And they're so much better than us.
Me, I'm going to bed thinking about all this stuff and thinking about my next interview questions. But I hope everybody enjoyed the show, and I think it's probably time to put this puppy to bed.
Just sign off.
Log out of Reddit.
Yeah, send any questions or comments to qualifiednonsense@gmail.com. Hit us up on our socials. It's going to be found in the episode description, or just fill out a Reddit thing and post on Reddit. Maybe we'll get to your question at some point
on the interwebs.
We did talk about maybe
young and hip.
doing our own subreddit, but I don't know if that would get any traction or not, but we'll see. But you'd rate, review, share, like, and subscribe on your podcast app of choice. We'll see you back here next Wednesday. We'll see you back here next week for another brand new episode of Qualified Nonsense.
Bye,
see you back
everybody.
here some days from now.
One day down the line.